Okay. Okay, honey.
Hang on.
117.
Hang on.
Oh,
Yeshudar levadahu dar kidimi kora. This upstairs that got destroyed, and the Mishnah says he's allowed to move downstairs. Does he dwell by himself, like he dwelled upstairs, and the guy who lived downstairs has to leave? O Dilma, Shanit and Dorin, Shnei and Dorin. They both get to live there. Because I never rented it to you with the thought that I would have to leave my apartment. So im tim tzlor shneim darim both. You're going to answer me. They're both allowed to live there. Kishu mishtamesh I'm derech tochim mishtamesh or derech kagi mishtamesh. When the guy who lives upstairs goes into the bottom apartment, does he go in through the roof or does he go in through the normal doors? Mi omer kidimi kara. We do it the way he lived before, which is mami kara derech kagin ashanami derech kagin. He entered his apartment through the roof, so he has to enter this one as well. Oy dilmi motzi omer le aliyah kabili aloy. When I rented the upper apartment, I accepted it's not that I have to walk upstairs, but to go up and down, aliyah v'yirdi lo kabili aloy. And im tim tzlomer motzi omer le aliyah v'yirdi lo kabili aloy, that ain't a chanami, that's a good complaint. And really, he's allowed to use the regular entrances. What about its 3 stories? Do we say if the 3rd story goes bad, he can go down and move in with the 2nd story guy? But then if the 2nd story got damaged, does he go up and live on the 3rd story? Or maybe the middle guy goes down and lives with the 1st story guy. Mi amrin da Omer le shem aliyas kabilt alech. We say that the balabais can say, listen, I rented you an upper floor, go to the 3rd floor. He didn't accept to live 2 floors above the 1st floor. So on all these questions, take Rav Yossi Oimer. The one who lives on the 1st story has to provide the ceiling. And the top guy has to do the ceiling, the maziva. My tikra. Rav Yossi Oimer kinim v'sanoim. These are beams and mats. Stini Omer b'shem Rav Shem ben Lakish lavchim, which are boards, wide boards. V'lo marki asri. It's not a machlok. It's each k'mineg hamakom where they lived. How do they trade avadari chali lo v'chatato? 2 people lived one above the other. Ifchas mazif. The cement that the Elyon guy is supposed to put on top of that ceiling went bad. And when the upper guy washed his floor, the water went down into the bottom story and did damage. Who fixed it? We said in the Mishnah, the Elyon is responsible for the mazifa, so he has to fix it. The Simon, the Yosef Hurad Mitzrayim, because Rav Chia Bar Yosef, it's Yosef, so that's the bottom one. Lamed Rav Chia Bar Ava Rav Eloi pluked Rav Yosef Kamiflik. Maybe they're arguing the same principle. The one who says that the upper guy fixes it, Ksavar, Shalamazik Laharchik is Atzvah and Nizik. A damager has to distance himself away from the person he damaged, which is Rabbi Yossi. And that's our mission, that the Elyon has to make the Maziva. And it's because his water had done damage, so he has to distance his water. The one who was damaged has to separate himself. Afraid to go more of a Tizbruk. Is this correct? Rabbi Yosef Rabbanon Le'inyaniskin Pligi. Are you describing the machlokes by damages correct? We have heard this machlokes the opposite way. It says marchikin esa ila min abor esrim v'chamish ama. Somebody has a bore to hold water. Somebody plants a tree, and the roots of the tree damages the bore. So you have to move the tree 25 amas away from the bore. U'v'charu v'shikma kerub and a sycamore, which have more roots, chamishima. Ben milmala, whether it's a field that's above a bore, maybe not sat, or from the sun. Now, imabor kodam, if the bore was there before the tree, koitzeitz, the owner of the bore can cut the tree down, and pay the guy the value of the tree. Ima ilin kodam, if the tree was there before the bore, lo yikots. So the bore guy has no right to cut the tree. Now, suffix zeh kodem, suffix zeh. If it's a suffix, we don't know. Rabbi Yossi Omer, afal pisha bor kodemis le'ilan. Even though the bore was there, the ilan lo yikots. Because shazeh, the owner of the bore, choyfer b'soch shalo, he's digging in his ground. V'zeh, note b'soch shalo, is planting in his ground. And each cannot stop the other. Amash Rav Yossi Sarval Nisik Larchik Kasatzmo. Rav Yossi holds it's the one who was damaged who has to move his way. Rabbanon Sarval Amasik Larchik Kasatzmo. Eli Ikalamei Mar Pligi. If you want to point out something that they argue in, maybe Bepluted Rav Yossi Rabbanon Dahasam Kamifligi. Maybe it has no, they argue, but there's no connection to our Mishnah. Rabbi Yosef Rabbanan Dahacha and our Mishnah Mike Pligi, then what is their machlokas? The Chayzik Tikra Kamifligi, the support of a ceiling. Rabbanan Savri, that the purpose of a maziva, putting cement, let's say in between, Achzuki Tikrahu, is to support the Tikra. The Achzuki Tikra is ala tachton. We said in a Mishnah that the expenses for the Tikra has to be borne by the person who lives below, because he's boy lachzuki. Rav Yossi Savra Maziva Ashvas Kumasu. No, pouring cement on top is to prevent holes so that water doesn't go down. And who's responsible? Ashvu Kumasal and Lashvui. The guy who lives above is responsible for that. Whereas the Zaini, it's not so far. Rav Ashi Kiavina Be Rav Kahana Havramina Roidif Moed Rabbi Yosef Begiri delay. Even though he said that somebody who's potentially damaged has to move himself, that's if the mazik's not doing a maisa. But if the mazik is doing a maisa like shooting an arrow, and that causes damage from distance, he's chayiv to distance himself. So here as well, with water flooding down, it's coming from a distance. So the Gemara answers the Paski Maya. Where the water dropped, there was no hole there. So it didn't drop directly. It drops here and it drains somewhere else. The deer of other nafli. So it wasn't direct. So it's not a direct damage. Mishnah. Abayis v'aliyah shel shnaim shenaflu. You have a house and a second story that's owned by two people and fell down. The one who lived upstairs told the owner of the house, listen, build a house, I want to live upstairs. He doesn't want to rebuild. the guy who lived upstairs can redo the house, live up and live there. Actually, and he can live there until his partner gives him his expenses that he built to rebuild the house. Rav Yehuda Omer, Avzeh dar b'toch shel chavero. The upstairs guy, meanwhile, can live in the house of his partner. But tzarich la'alei schar, has to pay him rent. And the Baal Aliyah boinus l'bayis v'saliyah. So the upstairs guy builds a house and an upstairs. Mekaris al Yona, he finished the whole thing. The Yosh b'bayis shitin l'tzitziyot, and he lives there until his expenses are paid. Rav Yechon b'shloshim makom shalom Rav Yehuda also l'adam she'ena mimon chaveru. You're not allowed to benefit from somebody else's money if the other guy doesn't know about it. Chada adisnan. Our Mishnah shlo yidor, we said you have to pay rent. What are the other cases? Irich ma'i disnan. Anoisen semer l'tzabar l'tzvola ba'ada. You gave wool to a dyer to dye it red. The tzavar shachar, he dyed it black. We told him to dye it black, shachar v'tzavar red. Rav Meir, oimer noisen lo. The dyer who damaged gives the owner of the wool dmei tzmara, the value of his wool, like a new wool. Rav Yehuda Omer, im ashvach, if the improvement and the value of the dyed wool is yoiser, it says more than the expenses of the dye. So Noson, the owner of the wool, gives the expenses to the craftsman. And if the expenses are greater, then Noson Noson Shvach. But the tzabel can't just, the dyer can't just take the semer for himself because you're being nana, but mom and chavero. Irich mai, what's the other case? Just not. Mishapar mixes choyvoy. You owed somebody money. You paid part of it back. And the rest, hishlish eshtaro. The remaining debt, you write a new star on it, give it to a third person. If I don't give you the money between now and such a time, tain lo star. So the guy who lent me the money will be able to collect with the star in the whole amount. He gives man v'lo nasan, and even let's say it was $1,000, $500 were paid. He said he'll be able to. I'll give you the star for the whole $1,000. Now, is that an asmachta? It's an exaggeration. Rabbi Yossi Omer yitain, Rabbi Yehuda Omer lo yitain. Why? What's the machlokas? The one who says not to pay because the one who's going to collect on the bigger amount, he's getting enough for money that doesn't belong to him. So the Gemara says, "Amai." When you live in a house, the walls get black and the value is going down. So that's why you have to pay. Or inami litzvolo edom tzvor shachor mishum dekomishane, the dyer went against the desire of the owner, and kol hamishane yodol tachtona, he has hands on the bottom. So same thing, mishapor mitzvah chovinami. It's not for the reason we said. It's haviyas smachta to say, oh, give back the whole shtar, he can collect the whole amount. That's an exaggeration. V'shamin le Rav Yehuda dormer lo konya. Smachta is not koine. So there's no proof that Rav Yehuda holds that asur lo adam lanus mam chaveru. Aravacha bar adam ishmeid Rav Ula. Tachtoin, the owner of the house that fell, and now he wants to build a new house. Abol l'shanois bigvil. Now he wants to use larger stones than what was used before. Shormin lo. That's only going to help the upstairs guy. But if it was originally built with guzzies and he wants to lower the quality, ain't shormin lo, then that's going to weaken the upstairs. Similarly, bikfisin, If you can use bricks that are better quality, shomin lo. But Levanim, lesser quality bricks ain't shomin lo. He wants l'sachek ba'arozim. He wants to use cedars of Lebanon wood, which are stronger for the ceiling, shomin lo. Bishkamin, but sycamore ain't shomin lo. Lemait b'chaloy noise, he's going to reduce the windows, shomin lo. Because the walls are stronger with less windows. La'arbos b'chaloy ain't shomin lo because it weakens the walls. Lagbi ain't to make it taller ain't shomin lo, because then it's less sturdy. But lemait b'gov is shomin lo, to make it less tall, we listen. Elyon Shabala Shinlis. Now, the upstairs guy wants to change. And he wants to change from Gvil to Gozis, which is stronger, Shamin Lo. His part will be less weight heavy and therefore less prone to fall. But from Gozis Likvil ain't Shamin Lo. If he wants to switch Likfisin ain't Shamin Lo. Heavier bricks, we don't listen. Bilvenim Shamin Lo. He wants to make the ceiling with cedars. In Shamin Lo, it's heavier. B'shikma Shamin Lo. The Rabbis B'chaloy noise, which lessens the weight, the heaviness of the wall. Shamin Lo. The Mai B'chaloy noise ain't Shamin Lo. Lagbia, to make it higher ain't Shamin Lo, because it's going to make everything heavier. Lemai Shamin Lo. Ein lolazeh, lolazeh. Neither of them have the money to build. And the owner of the land is willing to pay them to move out. My Tanya, ein lo lolazeh, lolazeh. Ein lo balaliyah bekarka klum. All the rights accrue to the guy who lived on the bottom. Tanya Rav Nosson Tachto Noitel Shnei Chalokim Ve'Elyon Shlish. You view it as he owns 2/3 of the rights, and the upper guy 1/3. He has 3/4. Amar Rabban Nekot Rav Nosson biyadcha. The Dayanu the Nachas Lum Kedidina. Rav Nosson was a Dayan. He went to the depths of the din. Why? Is Tilsa. The upper per loses 1/3 in terms of its use. So Islay Tilsa, so he has 1/3 right. Okay. We'll stop here in the Mishnah. This is shaykh to tomorrow's plot. And we'll try to finish the Masechta tomorrow.
Okay. What time tomorrow? 8:30.
Tomorrow is Wednesday. Yes, 8:30.
Yeah. Okay, shkoyach, Yomi.
Go ahead.